Many life lessons are embedded in mathematics. Today, I'm going to teach you my favorite. Many of you are aware I was a teacher, an Algebra 1 teacher from 2015 to 2018 here in Chicago. I also just finished watching the 2016 film Hidden Figures, which inspired me to produce this ministry broadcast. So today, yes, it's church, but I'm bringing you inside of my math classroom. Sit down, have a seat. It's Prophetically Connect. Today is Saturday, March 28th of 2026. God bless you and your entire household. So what you're seeing on the screen is a linear equation. I'm going to teach you the concepts or remind you of the concepts, and then we're going to talk about why this is important to our lives and what we can do to accelerate based on this equation. So why is the output? This is like what we see on a day-to-day basis, our outcome in life. This is the dependent variable. M is the slope or the rate of change. This is like when God gives you a revelation or you get a good book or someone gives you a word of advice and it transforms you and you change. The rate or the speed at which you change is like the letter M. The X, I like to look at this as the God value. It is the independent variable. We cannot control it. It is the input. It is like the secret sauce that God puts into our life. And sometimes it's simply time. We can't control time. It's something that God gives us. This is the input. The B is the y-intercept, and I'm going to explain more detail on that in just a moment. I do want you to note, though, that when y equals b, this results in a flat horizontal line. This is like when life just flat lines. There's no change, there's no increase, it's just passing time. And that is what we want to avoid. Okay, so let's talk about an example here. I put some numbers in the place of the variables so that we can solve for y, or the output. Y equals 1 times 2 plus 4. In this case, y will equal 6. That gives us our second coordinate. So we already know that x is 2 from the equation. We solve for y, and that's 6. So our coordinate pair is 2, 6. So when we look to the left at our coordinate plane, which has 4 quadrants, we can see that we went to the right 2 on our x-axis, and then we rose 6. That's just one dot on the coordinate plane. How we get the line, and a line always requires at least 2 dots, is that we just put a point at the y-intercept, which the equation tells us is 4. And so when it comes to the y-intercept, x will always be 0. So that's how we got our coordinate pair. X is 0, y is 4. So that is our straight line. I started telling you how I interpret this for my personal life. Now I'm going to go in more detail. Look at that. We just did that all in under 3 minutes. Praise Jesus. So why is what we see in our life, how we feel each day, what we're doing with our time, what we have been able to manifest in this lifetime. And it is a combination. I love this equation also because it shows us the combination of factors that are interconnected, that are, in this case, between the slope and what God gives us. It's being multiplied, and then the b is what's added. So let's look at this, for example. Let's look at x as time. God gives us all 24 hours in a day. What we do with that, or how we change, how swiftly we make decisions, that's our m. So if we multiply what God gives us by our own change, that's a very powerful factor. Now the b, I like to look at this as something that could either be in any of these variables, could be plus or minus. Okay, so you could see time as a negative, or you could see the negative change if you are just declining in life. This is like alcoholism, addiction, sexual immorality. All of these things can cause a downward slope. But when we're looking at b here, this is something that can be positive or negative, plus or minus. But if you're looking at it in the positive, it's like where you're living. the connections that you have, your network, your resume, where you went to school, how much you retained in school, what you're learning on your job, the relationships that you have even in your family, your legacy, those bonuses. Remember when we were in school and we played Step Up to the Line, and they would say all of these sentences, or they would ask the questions, and they would say, if your parents graduated from a 4-year college, take one step forward, or if you had a trust fund, take another step forward. And there were many people that got all the way to the very end, and there were some people that were only able to take a few steps. And many of us know what it's like to have many steps, and some of us maybe have not had many steps, but nonetheless, we all have that God factor, and then we all can change our lives. So this is how people can start off being very privileged. But then someone who wasn't privileged through life based on their history, or that B factor, could go the further distance because their M, or their slope, their rate of change was very swift. This is like a rags to riches type of story, even though no one is a rag, but what I'm saying, sometimes circumstances can be that way. Sometimes circumstances may not be that great in the beginning. And so this equation makes me feel very empowered, because no matter what, I know that God is a good God, and he's the type that inputs positive things in our life. That X factor in my mind is always positive. And what I do with my personal life, that's the M. I'm directly attached to what God is inputting. And then that plus B, I might not be able to control what the government is doing if there's a government shutdown, or what's happening in my municipality, or what's happening across the globe in Iran. I don't know all of that, but hopefully it's positive. But if it's negative, I still have me and God on this side of the equation, right? So I'm going to figure it out, and we're going to still be on the incline, okay? So I hope this empowered you. I won't be long. God bless you. I'll see you for the next prophetic release. Take care.